Hey YouTube, Merry Christmas and all that. This week, so if anyone's watching this, I'm going to do my live stream on Boxing Day rather than, I said Christmas Eve, but I think I'll do it on Boxing Day instead. So if anyone's about on Monday, 26th, whenever that is. Yeah, so I was playing this last night in the live stream. This is my Casio MG510, with a sort of very, very West tone. What's the one I got? A Spectrum 3 headstock, or a West Tone Concord, very much like this headstock. This is, I managed to withhold from it, I've still not done it. This is a MIDI guitar, but I'm not going to, this is the guitar bit, not the MIDI. It is a full blown Japanese Fujigen built stratocaster with MIDI stuff on it, but if I ignore the MIDI stuff, it's just the actual guitar. So I was talking about it last night, and when I was setting it up, I knew it had quite a flat fingerboard, you know, like a vintagey Strat thing's got like a 7¼ inch radius, you know, the curvature of the fingerboard, and a Gibson's like 12, I think. Like a more modern Strat's like 9.5 or 10, and a Gibson's 12. This is 22, so it's like, you know, that radius. So it feels very flat and very wide, like kind of like a classical guitar or something like that. But it's not. I've measured it like with a, not super accurately, I'll give it, but the nuts the same, and the, you know, the 12th fret's the same, and the last fret's the same as like one of the Rhodes, the Roadster I tried. So it's kind of weird. So it's, you can't really see it because it's so black, but it's an HSS layout, and it comes as stock. It's got like a Strat trem on it, a volume and a tone, and a coil split switch. But I've been in altering this, which I'll talk about later. So it's not just a coil split switch, and a five-way lever. This is the MIDI bit, which I'll do another video on. Yeah, so I'll try and not talk too much shit before I actually make some sounds. Yeah, so neck pickup, orange TH30. I'm glad it says so in the front, I can never remember. Position 4. Middle pickup. And if I put the coil split on, this is position 4, with this as a single coil, probably position 2. And then bridge pickup as a single coil. If you have to put the coil split switch off, they've all got, they come standard with the coil split in, so it's a humbucker in the bridge now. So I suppose I'll get to this. Is I forgot who it was the Irish Stew, I think, was talking about putting he's bought a Westfield Strat. He was going to put a humbucker in the bridge, and I was saying, the best switch is this one. So this is a 3-way toggle. You can see there. Normally, when you've just got like a 2-way, none of these are 2-way, it's like one of them is on, one of them's off, and it's like you never really know which way around. Whereas this one, when it's in the middle, it's a humbucker, so the switch isn't doing anything in the middle. If you pull it back, it splits this into a single coil. If you push it forwards, it splits this into a single coil and adds in the neck pickup. So, the humbucker, bridge pickup, single coil in the bridge. And then this is it forward, so you've got single coil here, or single coil here, so Telecaster. Also, when you've got that on, if you go into position 2 on the 5-way lever, it gives you all 3 pickups on. So that's running. As a guitar, this has got, well, you've got 5 sounds, it's the 5-way switch, and then you've got 2 of those sounds. You can, obviously, position 1 and 2 is this pickup and both 2 together, so you can have both of them as single coil, so that's 5, 6, 7, right? And then if you add in my extra switch, it gives you 8 and all 3 on 9, so it's got 9 sounds instead of 5. That's nearly twice as many as a normal Strat. Whether you actually need these things, but they're there. If they're there, you know, it's like... Put on some drummerums, got some distortion first. So neck pick up, that's a Proco Rat pedal. And I've now got used to the humongous 22-incher fingerboards. Try and make it not sound rude, but 22 inches, that is rude. That's horses, Willie, I think. Position 4. Sorry, position 4. Middle pickup. And then if you split the bridge pickup, this is position 2. Bridge pickup, single coil. And then bridge pickup as a humbucker. Yeah, so there we go. Done the sounds bit at the start, so people aren't going to complain that I've just blethered constantly. Now for the blethering bit, yeah. So these are from, I think it's 1985 to 1987. They were made and they were a flop. As I said, made in the Fujigen factory, the same as Fender Japan, the Ibanez Prestige, FGN guitars. In fact, there's a gap in the wall, so I'll put my FGN Telecaster, a man's guitar, that. Yeah. So basically all these guitars you can see are Fujigen built. Bit of a Japanese fanboy me, apart from that one which I made. Yeah, so these were expensive when they came out. I'm kind of just tending to look at the... this is just me, just the guitar bit, but it's also the talking. I'll do a MIDI one later. So this has, if you look here on the bottom, more stuff on it. So we've got the normal guitar jack output. I'm just using this as a standard guitar just now. I bought this really cheap on the presumption that the MIDI didn't work. The guy said the MIDI didn't work. It did work, but then it stopped working. So if the MIDI didn't work, that's what we're doing here. So it still works fine as a normal guitar. The only thing that you have to worry about here is there's a switch here, which is a guitar and MIDI. But if you put it to MIDI, it doesn't seem to turn it out. It does. Maybe just not. Maybe put some switch gear in that. So if you turn that switch off, that was what was wrong with it. It was the switch that was gone. I might need to. That should turn it off. So the guitar doesn't work if the MIDI switch is on, even when it's not powered up or anything like that. So you just want to have that guitar and you're fine. So this has on the bottom of it a standard 5-pin MIDI output on it, a power socket to run that runs on 6 AA batteries. Let's go in this bit here. 6 AA batteries it takes to run the MIDI, not to run the actual guitar. It's just I've been over iterating the fact that it's a full-on standard guitar, and then an on-off switch to turn on the MIDI. When you turn it on, a wee red light comes on. It's actually also got a tuner in it, which for 1985 or 1986 is a very rare thing to have a tuner built into the guitar. Now you can, you get your wee clip-on ones for a couple of quid, but not back then. So as you can see there, it's got a Roland MIDI pickup basically in it. built into the guitar, which I have been noticing a little bit because you can sort of feel it when you're playing, but it's not really a hindrance. It's just like, oh, I can feel that with the palm of my hand. You can still get all the strings and all that, it's fine. Yes, so the big thing with this one is, as opposed to what you get now as a MIDI guitar, also the Roland system came out at the same time. The Roland system was like basically this exact pickup, which you stuck onto the front of your guitar, and then it had like a, you've seen it, I think you're actually meant to hang it onto the back of your strap, like a wee module thing, which takes a MIDI pickup and then puts it into a crazy like 20 pin socket plug thing, which runs through into your guitar signal process, your MIDI processor thing, which then has the sounds on it. The difference there being this one, all that the guitar processor thing is the computer that's inside it. All this bit, it's all circuit boards and stuff. There's like these are rubber control things which take off, which control the sensitivity of the strings, and there's dip switches to make it do different things. I'm not going into that. So looking these up on eBay, one sold. There's only one in the completed listings on eBay, and it went for £500 with the MIDI not working, which is it's a Japanese stratocaster. It's basically, there is a Fender, which looks exactly the same as this. It's even got this type of scratch plate on it from 1986, from round about maybe 85, 86. You didn't get American Fenders. American Fenders were moving the factory somewhere, so the only Fenders you could get were Japanese ones, and it's basically in around about this time. So if they put a Fender headstock on it, it would probably be something you've heard of, but they didn't. Instead, it's very catchily called Casio MIDI guitar, built-in guitar to MIDI converter. I could really give it another name. To be fair, I think Casio, I mean, obviously probably would have been the 80s. It was like, you think Casio, calculators, and you think of cheap, not like the Argos keyboards and watches, really. Whereas I don't know if they were really quite into the sort of the budget range quite the same way at this era, where they thought having Casio on it would be a good thing. They have actually tried there's other Casio ones. There's ones you get where it's got like rubber strings and buttons on it, which is kind of shaped like a guitar, and they've got one with a cassette drive in it, and these things tend to look like spaceships, which is one of those things that to be honest, I would probably have bought one if they weren't really expensive for a couple £100, and it's like second hand. It's like, for something that's obviously a novelty, whereas this is not a novelty, it's a full-on guitar. 10th time I've said that, but it's got a really flat fingerboard, which I suppose is probably for, I don't know, maybe it's better for MIDI. I don't know. Make it more accurate. I don't know. Yeah, but as I was saying there, so the difference with the Roland one is the Roland sending the unpowered power from the pickup into another cable and then running down a cable, so it takes time for that very low powered signal to run into your guitar processor to get processed, and then you've got the common MIDI sounds. The difference with the Roland thing is, so there is a latency in that, a time it takes to do that. Whereas this one, inside the thing, it gets charged up into full on MIDI, and MIDI is like, it's got like a high powered signal, so it goes quicker. It doesn't degrade as much over a long cable to use it. So in theory, it should be quicker than a Roland. The thing that the Roland does was, because you get like a big floor unit. I don't know if you've ever seen the original floor unit. I saw one in Guitar. I think it was for the bass version, which is much same sort of thing. And I thought it was like a comedy shop display. You know, like the board. You know, it's like something you could buy. Like, you know, if you're, I've never seen it, but you know, you get like, Boss distortion pedal thing for sticking in the window, and it's like, you know, it's this size. It's a big plastic, oversized Boss distortion pedal, like a display piece. Like, it's not really a pedal. That's what I thought this thing was. But honestly, it was the size of a flight case, and it had, like, you know, the original controllers from the late 80s. The thing was the size of a keyboard, just like with foot pedals on it, but humongous things. But the thing about and obviously that you can still get, it's called a GRG1. I think the pickup's called that, and you plug it in, and it gives you all these MIDI sounds, which are the best ones for running with a guitar. So that they all work quite well with a guitar, whereas this just outputs MIDI. So you can plug it into anything, is if you plug it into, I bought this wee thing, which is basically a general MIDI bank. It's pretty shit. It was only 30 quid. I just like the idea of not having to plug it into a synthesizer. I do actually have the synthesizer that was the top of the range Casio CZ1 when this came out, but it's this size, and basically this keyboard, it runs. You can do an awful lot with that. But as I said, so some of the sounds don't really work very well with guitar, just because it's just a general MIDI bank. So it's like, you know, bells work really well. You know, your tubular bells, dung, 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 they work really well. Strings work really well because they're sort of it's a sort of similar playing motion that you would have like a violin or something. Flutes work really well. Piano, it sounds fine, but the problem with a piano is if you play a piano chord, you hit all the notes at the same time. Whereas on a guitar, you don't. You kind of, you know, you dring through them. So if you can make it sound exactly like a piano if you kind of pluck the strings all at the same time, then it sounds like a piano. But if you strum it, although the sound is piano, the way you're triggering it doesn't. It sounds like you're playing playing the piano chords like, you know. So it's kind of weird. So it's a wee bit of trial and error. Some sounds just work better getting controlled by a guitar than other ones do, but the Roland one, it's because it's got sounds that are specifically for the guitar, which you will kind of recognise because those are the ones that everyone uses. There's actually a pedal you can get, which I did a video. It was an SY something, which kind of has all those sounds, and it doesn't have a MIDI pickup. It just, with technology now, they can just stick your normal guitar in, and it's not bad. It's pretty good. It's a wee bit slower than this, but and you get, I don't know, 10 sounds or 12 sounds, but they're the sort of common ones that sound good with guitar, rather than this where I can just have any stupid sound and it'll run it. You know, drum kits, you know, obviously one of the first things I did with this was plug it in. I used to have an electric drum kit with MIDI on it, plug it into that and then it's like boom, which it totally does it. It triggers it fine. It's very unnatural to play the drums with your fingers like that though, with on a guitar. But anyway, that's the MIDI side of it. Yeah, so I said there was one of these went on eBay. Was it at the end of November, start of December? 500 quid with the MIDI, probably not working. If you look on Reverb, they're $2,500. Or I think it was cheap. It was like 1,800 quid or $2,500 for one. It's like, whoa, I didn't pay that for it. I bought it because it was supposedly not working, but it was just the switch that was broken. Yeah, but you just to say again, you're starting off with guitar. Well, actually, what I want to do before I go any further, the pickups are quite low output. So I want to try this against my wee red Roadstar, which was I did a shootout on Friday. Did 3 Ibanez videos, which is a stupid idea because they all get a third of the amount of views of normal videos. But watch it anyway, please. And the pickups in that just sound, the wee red one, which is the cheapest of the 3. There's that one, and that one. Had really low output. They were like 3.9k pickups. These are like 4.2, which is still really low. They're like 8 point something in that. Normal Strat pickups are sort of 5.5, 6 sort of thing. So they're really low output pickups, but I think that's why they're so jangly. Let me put a backing track in of some description. I've not really thought about what backing track to put in yet. What will I play? Neck pickup. I'm going to try and do the pause thing, which I was having a terrible time with. So they're not the same pickups. It's actually not that close, but I would generally say just in this particular case, they're very similar pickups. These I feel are a little bit more powerful. Well, they are 4.2K instead of 3.9, but I was just wondering if they were the exact same, because they've got the sort of, the smooth EMG looking. They're not active pickups, they're EMG looking covers, the same as what the Roadster has, and also made in the same factory, and that's 1986. This is 85 to 87, so, and Fujigen, it's a basswood body, same as that. Ultimately sort of the same guitar. I did notice that, going back to this, so what a wide feeling fretboard it has, even though it's the same when you measure it, because it's got this flat radius on it. So there we go. Yes, I've actually gone on for 20 minutes so far, which is quite long, but sod it. I'll play some stuff over that backing track, which is kind of sort of reggae or something. I don't really know what I was thinking. Yeah. So there we go. I don't know. Am I just going to do it right now? Another video using that wee shitty MIDI module thing to show you the MIDI side of the guitar. But I'm toying with using this in the band Cranking House, because we did a couple of songs in the studio, like in the recording studio, and one of them has a wee bit of a keyboard intro. And Ali, the drummer, keeps going, "Oh, have you not got a guitar that plays keyboard parts?" And it's like, so I could use it, and I was really just wanting to make sure that I could use this for the rest of the set, which none of it has keyboards in it, easily, without really. And I'm not losing anything. It's totally fine. It's a pro level guitar, as good as a Japanese Strat, because it is a Japanese Strat. It's not like pure. Oh, how does it compare to a Mexican one? What's better than a Mexican one because it's a Japanese one? How does it compare to an American one? It's the same pretty much, because the Japanese ones are kind of same, with the sort of vintagey voiced pickups as opposed to being power buckers, power guitar, which is nice. I'm still toying with. I bought a Japanese Strat, that purple one you can see behind me. God, it's difficult to do this backwards. That one there's the body on it had been relics. It was a Mexican body. The guy bought a Mexican, had painted it all crazy and reliced it with a hammer and all that. So that's just basically a Squire body, but the rest of it's Japanese Strat. And I'm thinking that neck would probably fit right on here, which would mean I would have, I suppose, a sort of Dave Gilmour one with, like, the maple fretboards and the proper Fender headstock, even though it's and that would have given me the smaller radius neck, and yeah, I don't know. I kind of like the idea of it being like this. The ones that if you look up on Reverb, there's another couple of models in this range. This is the MG510. There's a 500, which is basically exactly the same, apart from the body's shaped like a spaceship. To be honest, if I could find one of them that was broken, I would probably just buy it. I couldn't afford one that wasn't broken. It looks like a spaceship. It looks like it should. This just looks like a Strat because that's what it is. The other one is the one that JJ Cale used before he died, which is a PG380, and it's basically the same guitar, apart from it's got a Floyd Rose on it, and instead of just having a MIDI converter which sends the MIDI out, it does that as well, but it's also got a synthesizer built into the front of the guitar with like 2 jack outputs. So in that one, you don't need a synthesizer to run it. You know, this one, it just outputs MIDI. It doesn't make any sound. You need to plug it into a MIDI sound device, whereas this one actually has a wee synth on it. These days, not that much use. It's basically a 2-up synth, so it's like your wee Casio, you know, the ones you used to get in school. It's like that type of synth. It's not like a quality one. So if you were using it live anyway, I would definitely think the chances are you're going to have some sort of good sound module to plug it in, like MIDI, the same way this is, and it's got like, you know, push buttons and stuff like that. It's a little bit more MIDI programmable as well. I don't really go into the MIDI side of things. You can change which channel it broadcasts on and all that crap in this, but I think it's kind of more through the dip switches in the back, whereas the one that's got the synthesizer in front, you can change which channel it broadcasts on. Don't really know what these things do, but anyway. Rock on, catch you later, and Merry Christmas and all that. Like and subscribe, and Boxing Day live stream.